I woke up this morning and I was shocked to find that the most pro-Tesla website was misreporting Volkswagen's electric car sales this year, making them look better than they actually are. So what's going on? Well, I'm here to tell you the truth and expose what has really happened. Volkswagen sales, have they really increased by 65%? Or is that a myth? Hello my friends, welcome to the channel. I'm the Electric Viking. My name is Sam Evans and I'm coming to you here from Melbourne, Australia. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Great to have so many new subscribers on board. Welcome to the channel, the new subscribers. Welcome back, everyone else. A number of different websites within the last 24 hours have reported on the amazing sales going on at Volkswagen. Electric car sales have increased by 65% versus the same quarter last year. And this has been heralded as a huge success for the company. But there's a few big problems with these numbers. In fact, there's a lot of problems. Let's start with Volkswagen's numbers. In the first quarter of this year, January, February, and March put together, Volkswagen sold or delivered 99,000 electric cars globally. This number is 39,000 more than the same quarter of 2021, which is an increase of 65%. And as reported by the Electric, Teslarati, a number of other pro-EV websites, this share of electric vehicles delivered compares to the overall group total, and it rose to 5.2% from 2.5% in the first quarter of last year. So this is kind of making it look like electric cars at Volkswagen deliveries this year have doubled versus the same quarter last year. When in fact, that isn't true at all. The Volkswagen Group actually reported a significant decrease in global vehicle deliveries during the first quarter. They're down by 22% versus the same quarter last year to 1.9 million in total. The worrying sign, though, is that in March, the decline was significantly greater, down by 31.4% year over year. Now, all of the news media are talking about how great it is that Volkswagen's electric car sales are up by 65% compared to the first quarter of last year. But they are really up. Well, in the second quarter of last year, Volkswagen delivered 111,000 electric cars, which was an extremely good number because it was an increase of 260% over the same quarter the previous year when they delivered 30,800. So that was a really good result last year, 111,000 deliveries in the second quarter. What about the third quarter? In the third quarter, Volkswagen did even better. They delivered 122,000 electric cars. In the fourth quarter, Volkswagen delivered 160,000 electric cars, which was 8.3% of all vehicles that they delivered. In other words, 8.3% of all the cars that they delivered in the fourth quarter of 2021 were electric. That was a fantastic number. Unfortunately, electric car sales in the first quarter of this year are obviously way down on those three quarters, or at least way down on the most recent quarter, right? The reality is Volkswagen's deliveries of electric cars this quarter are lower than what they were in the second, the third, and the fourth quarters of last year. In fact, Volkswagen is down by 60,000 deliveries versus the fourth quarter of last year. That's huge. That were delivered during the first quarter of this year were fully electric, when the figure was 8.3% in the fourth quarter of last year. Now, why does this matter? Well, it matters because companies like BYD, right? BYD used to be a lot like Volkswagen. They used to make plug-in hybrids, battery-powered cars, and gasoline-powered cars. They don't make gasoline-powered cars anymore. So that figure is extremely important because what BYD were doing is saying, okay, now 8% of our cars are fully electric. Okay, now 15%, now 20%, now where we're at? Well, now around 57% of all BYD's vehicles sold month after month for about 4 or 5 months now have been fully electric. The rest of them, plug-in hybrids. So why don't we look at this another way, right? In 2021, Volkswagen delivered 453,000 electric cars over the entire year. We divide that by 4, we get what? 112,500. That means technically, even if you average out all quarters last year, Volkswagen is still well down on where they were at last year. That is alarming. Why is that alarming? Well, let's have a look at the competitors for Volkswagen and see how they're going. In the first quarter of 2022, JAC increased their vehicle deliveries from 24,000 to 40,000. That's purely electric cars. What about GAC? They're also in China. They increased their vehicle deliveries from 17,000 to 45,000, nearly tripling their electric vehicle deliveries in the space of 1 year. What about XPeng? Small little startup XPeng, right? Well, they went from 13,000 in the first quarter of last year to 34,000 in the first quarter of this year. What about Nita? Probably never heard of them, right? Well, they went from 7,000 deliveries in the first quarter of last year to 30,000. That's more than 4 times what they did in the first quarter of last year. What about Leapmotor? Well, Leapmotor delivered only 3,000 electric cars in the first quarter of last year. And in the first quarter of this year, they went from 3,000 deliveries last year to 21,500. That's more than 7x output, more than 7 times. What about Tesla? Well, in the first quarter of last year, Tesla delivered 185,000 cars. This quarter, 310,000. What about BYD? Well, first quarter of last year, BYD delivered 38,600 electric cars. This quarter, 143,224. That's an increase of 271% year over year. Now, thanks to that sales record from BYD, they doubled their share in the electric vehicle segment worldwide to 10%. They are now far ahead of the Volkswagen Group and will only extend their lead over the next few years based on all the factories they're currently building. The one they just opened, 3 weeks ago now, which is another electric car gigafactory based on all the battery factories that they're opening. Volkswagen will never again catch BYD or Tesla, and they're only falling further behind. Who else are they behind? Well, technically, SAIC also outsold Volkswagen in electric car output. However, there's even bigger problems for Volkswagen, and that is coming from not only all these Chinese automakers that I just told you about, but most of those Chinese automakers I just told you, their sales have increased by between 100 and 2,000%. The numbers are insane, and they are taking Volkswagen's market share in China, where China's car sales are down by 23% this year. You probably think, why does that matter, Viking? Who cares? Well, Volkswagen makes 50% of its profits from China. 50%. So these little electric car manufacturers in China are taking huge amounts of profit away from Volkswagen. Now, if we have a look at how Volkswagen was going with electric car deliveries in 2019, well, they weren't doing so well. They were 6th in the world with 86,000 deliveries. Hyundai Motor Group, they were 6th in the world with 88,000 deliveries. The Hyundai Motor Group was 7th with only 86,000, so 2,000 behind. It was a close race between 6th and 7th, Volkswagen and Hyundai. However, in 2020, things changed drastically. Volkswagen Group moved up into 3rd place, nearly tripling their electric car sales with 227,000. The Hyundai Motor Group were nowhere to be seen. Then in 2021, Volkswagen jumped up even further, doubling car sales to get to 450,000 electric vehicle deliveries. Hyundai had upped their game, and that increased their sales to 216,500, which was around half of Volkswagen's numbers. In the space of 2 years, Volkswagen had completely dominated one of their closest legacy auto electric car rivals. However, in the first quarter of 2022, the tables are turning drastically. Tesla is in first place with 310,000 deliveries. SAIC in second with 155,000. BYD in third with 144,000. Volkswagen is in fourth place now, having lost 2 positions with 98,500 deliveries. Hyundai sits close behind with 82,000 deliveries. One might think, well, Volkswagen still has a small lead, but is that even true? Well, there is only one reason why Volkswagen was able to increase their sales numbers in the first quarter of this year versus the first quarter of last year. It wasn't due to Europe, it was only due to China. In China, Volkswagen delivered 29,000 electric cars over the first quarter of this year, which you'd think is good, right? We're adding 29,000 to Volkswagen's total. What's the problem here, Viking? Well, there is a significant issue here. While that is a very impressive increase of 361% versus Volkswagen's electric deliveries in China last year, you've got to remember, who are those cars actually made by? Well, Volkswagen, my friends, doesn't make any of them. They hold approximately 40% in all of the 3 different partnerships that they have with Chinese car companies who build their EVs for them in China. In other words, they don't even own 50% of those car sales in China of 29,000. Now, let's just pretend the Volkswagen owns 50%. Let's give them an extra 10% in this partnership. So that's going to say we'll give them half the sales, right? Rather than 29,000, we'll give them 15,000. We'll make it even more than half. 14,500 is half. Let's give them 15,000. And so now we're giving them about 55% of those sales when they only deserve 40%. What does that mean? That now means the Volkswagen actually delivered only 84,000 cars, 84,000 electric cars in the first quarter of this year. And now the Hyundai Kia Motor Group are only 2,000 deliveries behind. Last year, Hyundai and Kia were dominated by Volkswagen. This year, they seem to have caught up completely. In addition, BYD is now dominating Volkswagen completely, and Tesla is increasing its lead over Volkswagen. Everyone said this gap would get smaller. It's actually getting bigger. Have a look at this graph from Inside EVs. While BYD is actually kind of catching up to Tesla in some way, Volkswagen clearly here, as you can see, is falling behind. And let's be realistic. The only significant factory that Volkswagen has, aside from trying to convert some of their internal combustion engine factories to producing EVs, which is not really going that well for them, is a factory that will be completed by the end of 2025. In direct opposition to that, Tesla have a huge factory in Germany that the word is today, they say they plan on buying more land nearby to build another factory in Germany, right? In addition, Tesla are ramping up EV delivery from their Gigafactory in Texas. Plus, they've just announced they're building another factory in Shanghai next to their Shanghai factory, which will be able to produce 450,000 electric cars every year. Plus, we're going to see a ramp up of vehicle deliveries from their factory in Germany. What does this mean? It means that BYD and Tesla will extend their lead over Volkswagen, and Volkswagen will continue to fall further behind. Why does this matter? Well, it doesn't really matter, to be honest. I mean, I just like people knowing the truth. I prefer you to know what's really going on, not hearing this myth. Volkswagen increases EV sales by 65%, when actually, I mean, really, compared to last quarter, their sales are down over 100%. That, my friends, is not the great news that these people, the media, would like you to believe. And now I'm wondering why they're reporting these numbers this way. Volkswagen, are you paying them like you pay the pretend environmental groups in Germany to attack Tesla? Is that what Volkswagen are doing? I'm not attacking Tesla here, clearly, but are you paying for propaganda? I don't know, but it just seems like propaganda to me. Please, somebody tell me, am I seeing this wrong? What's going on here? Let's put this into some perspective. In the first quarter of this year, Tesla sold nearly as many EVs as they did in the entire year of 2019. And Volkswagen actually delivered less than 1/3 of Tesla's Q1 2022 sales. And this is right before Tesla is about to ramp up production from Shanghai, from Berlin, and from Texas, and apparently as well from Fremont. That is concerning. If you're Volkswagen, who claim you're going to catch up to Tesla by 2025, if these trends continue, Tesla will finish 2022 at about 1.7 million deliveries. Volkswagen is on course for 400,000. That would be close to 25% of Tesla's deliveries. Now, this maybe shouldn't be a surprise because Volkswagen itself has admitted they can't get to where Tesla is now until they get their new factory in Germany open by the end of 2025. If it takes them, say, a year and a half to ramp to capacity, they might be making 2 million EVs per year by 2027. I think it's likely Tesla will be delivering 3 times that number in 2027. I think 6 million is a realistic number. Now, in 2020, Volkswagen had 11% of all electric vehicle market share globally. In 2021, it was 10%. In 2022, so far, it's 6.8%. I personally hope that Volkswagen succeeds in converting their operation to building only EVs, in the same way that BYD has been able to do within only 12 months, because every EV makes the world a better place. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.